Vigilante, The Origins of Casey Jones. Written by Justin Prince. Based on characters created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Interior, apartment, night. 27-year-old Arnold Casey Jones sits on a dingy couch that looks like it's been broken down by the weight of someone sleeping on it. Casey's long, stringy black hair is unwashed and oily, his tank top stained with condiments from his afternoon lunch. A deep scar juts out from one of the sweatpants he's cut into shorts just above the knee and runs down to the top of Casey's right knee, his body lean but muscular. The sounds of sirens and gunfire blare from the old tube television set. Casey grabs a half-empty bottle of beer and takes a swig. At that moment, the door to the apartment swings open. In walks Arnold Jones Sr., a hardened man in his late 50s, early 60s. Senior removes his leather jacket and tosses it on the recliner.
You moved off that couch today?
Casey looks over at his father and answers by finishing off the beer.
All you do is sit on your ass and watch these damn movies.
Senior gets up and walks to the kitchen, which practically sits inside the living area of the small apartment. He opens the fridge and grabs a beer of his own. He twists off the top and takes a huge gulp. Senior's appearance is similar to Casey's, but yet also a total juxtaposition. His black hair is peppered with gray and cut into a short crew cut. His shirt is collared and tucked into neatly pressed khakis with a leather belt to hold them in place.
After the surgery, I understood the moping.
Casey turns the television up another 2 notches, the sound of the shootout between the cops and the bad guys on screen drowning out Senior's voice. Casey drifts off into his memories as his father continues to chastise him. Interior, hockey rink, night. A modest crowd sits in the stands of the arena taking in an AHL game. Casey Jones is a rising star from the wing position and has nothing but clear ice in front of him. He gracefully glides down the ice, controlling the puck with ease as he closes in on the goal. He pulls back his stick, readying for what should be an easy go-ahead score. Crack! An opponent's stick smashes and shatters against Casey's knee from behind. He falls to the ice, clutching the injured limb as the puck slides harmlessly into the goalie's glove. Interior, apartment, night. Senior walks to the television and presses in the power button. The old tube television has a slight delay and then flicks off with a blip. The sound of the TV shutting off jolts Casey back to the present, and he explodes from the couch, standing eye to eye with his father.
You want me to do something? Come on, Dad, tell me what you'd like me to do. All I've ever done my whole life was play hockey. All I've ever done, everything I've ever worked for was right there.
Casey makes a gesture with his index finger and thumb, leaving almost no space between them.
And I was this close to finally getting a call up from the AHL to the real shit. And just like that,
Casey slaps his hands together.
it was gone. So tell me, Dad, what would you like me to do? Go to work with you at the store?
Senior looks away from Casey's eyes, which are now welled up with tears. Senior takes another drink of beer and sits down in the recliner.
You used to love to help me at the store. When you were a boy, you'd spend hours there on Saturdays helping me stock the shelves or showing customers how the equipment worked.
Well, I'm not a little boy anymore. And you don't have customers to help anymore, either.
Casey exits the apartment, slamming the door behind him. Exterior, roof, night. Casey stands on the roof of the Brooklyn apartment building, looking out into the cityscape. He punches the cement railing and lets out a scream that is quickly lost in the muddled noises coming from the city that never sleeps below him. Interior, Arnold Sporting Goods, day. Senior stands behind the counter in the back center of the store, rearranging an array of sports equipment. The store is large, but empty. The door chimes as 2 young men in their late teens or early 20s enter the store. Senior looks up from his task. The men make a beeline for Senior. They are both wearing baggy jeans with purple bandanas hanging out of the back pockets. The smaller of the 2 men, CRISTO, does all of the talking.
You know what we're here for, old man. Empty the till.
My answer is the same as it was when you 2 punks came in here the first time. Go fuck yourself.
CRISTO laughs while his larger friend, Van, gives Senior a devilish grin.
Listen, I know you're used to how the 18 tray ran this hood. But the Purple Dragons are in charge now. You're not gonna like what happens when Hun finds out you still won't pay.
Senior hits a button on the register. The till dings open, and he reaches in and pulls out a handful of air.
Sorry, boys. Even if I wanted to pay your little fee, I couldn't. Business is slow these days.
We don't give a motherfuck about your economic struggles, bro. The Dragons get paid one way or another. Ain't that right, Van?
Van grabs a baseball bat off a nearby rack. He swings and the wooden bat makes a swoosh followed by a crack as it decapitates a mannequin in a New York Giants jersey.
Take care, old man. We'll be seeing you again real soon.
The two thugs leave the store and Senior picks up the mannequin head in his hands, staring down at its lifeless eyes. Interior apartment, day. Casey rolls over the couch and looks at the digital clock sitting on top of the television. It's after 2 p.m. He sits up, gripping his head. He flips on the TV, which again is playing some hardcore action film. Casey walks to the fridge and grabs a half-eaten sub sandwich from inside it before making his way back to the couch.
I love this one.
He kicks his feet up on a small coffee table in front of him and turns the volume up to roar. Exterior, street in front of Arnold Sporting Goods, evening. A black SUV with even darker windows pulls up in front of the sporting goods store. CRISTO steps out of the driver's seat and opens the door for Van, who is then followed by Hun. Hun is a massive mountain of a human being, making Van seem almost childlike by comparison. Hun, 30s, is dressed in nice slacks and a long-sleeved collared shirt with the top two buttons undone. He is also clearly the elder of the two thugs who follow him into the store like wild dogs might follow the alpha male of a pack. Interior, Arnold Sporting Goods, evening. Senior closes up shop. The door chimes. The men stand in the doorway, CRISTO, Van, and Hun. Hun rolls up the sleeves to his shirt, flashes a tattoo of a purple dragon that snakes down his forearm.
So you're the infamous Arnold Jones, the one man on this block who won't pay his dues.
Senior reaches under the counter. He fingers the Glock G30S taped underneath.
Oh, I've paid plenty of dues. Dues to this country, this city, and this neighborhood. But you? I'm not paying you shit.
Hun smiles.
They told me that you were defiant. I respect that. It takes balls to take the stance you have. Maybe not any brains, but it does take balls.
Hun approaches Senior.
But you're still going to pay.
Hun snatches Senior by the throat and lifts him over the counter. The gun is in his ribs. Senior pulls the trigger. Click. Not what Senior expected. Click, click, click. Hun slams Senior down on the counter. The wooden frame beneath crumbles. The Glock slides away. CRISTO picks up the gun, passes it to Hun. The weapon looks like a small toy in his massive hand. He inspects it.
You know, if you want to shoot someone, you better make sure your safety is off.
Hun flips the switch.
Like this.
Bang! Red spreads across Senior's chest, a paper towel soaking up a wine spill.
Burn the place down. Make an example of him.
Hun throws the gun and exits. Senior gasps for air, dying slowly. Exterior, street in front of Arnold Sporting Goods, night. Arnold Sporting Goods is engulfed in flames. Firefighters are combating the fire, while the police struggle to set up a perimeter and keep a crowd of onlookers at a safe distance. Senior's body has already been pulled from the burning building and rests on its gurney with a sheet over it. Casey arrives on the scene and immediately rushes toward the burning building where he's intercepted by a cop.
My dad, is he still in there? This is his store.
The cop directs Casey to the body of Senior, lifting up the sheet so he can see his father's face, charred with black smoke and bad burns, along with obvious bullet wounds. Casey is stoic.
You know anyone who would want to kill your father?
Casey remains silent.
Son, did your dad have any enemies? Anyone who might want to cause him harm? Son?
No.
Interior, apartment, night. Casey sits on the couch. For once, the television is off and the apartment is completely silent. He stares at his father's recliner. A knock on the door interrupts his thoughts. Casey slowly makes his way to the door, undoing the deadbolt and chain lock before opening the door. Casey brings his eyes from the floor to meet the eyes of his visitor. Standing in the doorway is April O'Neil. April is in her mid-20s and beautiful, with her long natural red hair glistening in the light, illuminating the hallway area around Casey's door. The two lock eyes, but neither say anything for a moment.
Casey, I'm sorry.
Casey turns away from the door, leaving it open as he walks toward the kitchen. Beer bottles litter the apartment. Casey opens the refrigerator and grabs the last bottle from a 12-pack. April steps inside the apartment, quietly closing the door behind her.
Who told you?
Nobody. I was in the newsroom when the story came through. I came here as soon as I could.
Why?
Casey takes a big gulp from the beer and then flops back into his familiar seat. The broken down couch bends around Casey's body like a tailored suit.
Casey, don't do this. I know things with us didn't work out how you wanted, but I cared about your father. And you.
Well, then let me ask you something. You were in the newsroom tonight. Do you know who did this?
April takes a seat beside Casey. She places her hand on his knee, his injured knee. Casey recoils slightly at her touch.
I don't know much. It's not my story.
Casey looks her in the eyes again.
But you know something.
I know your dad was your best friend, and that if you need help with money or anything for the arrangements, I'm here for you.
Casey bursts off the couch and slings the nearly empty beer bottle into the wall. It shatters. April jumps at the sound.
I don't need your money or your pity. I just want to know who murdered my father. So if you do, or you ever did care anything about me, you'll tell me what the hell you know.
April sits silently. Her silence only enrages Casey more. He grabs her back and the neck of her shirt and pushes her back into the couch. He shakes her violently.
Just tell me what you fucking know!
He notices the fear in April's eyes and he immediately lets go of her shirt and steps back. April grabs her purse and stands up quickly.
Maybe I should just go. I shouldn't have come by.
April walks from the door.
Go ahead and go. Would not be the first time.
April stops just as she reaches the door.
And it wouldn't be the first time you pushed me up this door either, Casey.
She starts to shut the door behind her before pausing again.
But despite being a prick, you still deserve to know who killed your father. Nothing's positive yet, but David, the reporter on the Brooklyn Beat, has been hearing that a street gang, the Purple Dragons, have been forcing shops in the area to pay them a fee for doing business in their neighborhood. The word is your dad refused to pay. That's all I got.
April shut the door behind her, leaving Casey alone in the apartment. Exterior, street in front of Arnold's Sporting Goods, day. The police tape is still draped around the outside of the scene. Casey dips under it. Aside from a few black streaks from the fire's thick smoke and the boards on the door covering where glass had been, the outside of the building looks like it always has. Casey pulls out the key to the shop and opens the door. Interior, Arnold's Sporting Goods, day. The inside of the store was a much different story. The fire had almost completely gutted the building's insides, destroying most of the inventory. Casey surveys the store, placing a hand over his mouth and nose to try and stymie the smell of the doused flames. He walks to the back of the store next to the checkout counter his father had been slammed through. He grabs a golf bag and inspects it before wiping away some soot. He then slings the otherwise pristine bag over his shoulder. Casey picks around the store, looking through debris and what little merchandise that hadn't been claimed by the fire's intense heat. Slowly he fills the golf bag with a 9-iron, 2 aluminum baseball bats, a hockey stick, and a croquet mallet. As Casey looks around his father's once proud store, his thoughts drift again. Interior, Arnold's Sporting Goods, day. A young Casey Jones performs some tricks with a hockey stick and a puck for some amused customers. Arnold's Sporting Goods store is filled with customers, and Senior manages the checkout line, chatting with each one who rings up an item. Interior, Arnold's Sporting Goods, day. Casey walks over to the counter and picks up the old and charred cash register. He pushes a button expecting to hear the ring from his memories, but instead is met with silence. He notices the brown stain on the ground and recognizes it as dried blood.
I'm sorry. I should have been here, Dad.
He steps behind the counter. On the wall in a protective display case hangs an old hockey mask. The plaque inside the case reads, worn by Jacques Plante, 1959. Casey opens the flame-retardant case and grabs the mask, strapping it over his face. Casey then looks back at the bloodstain, his eyes wide and wild inside the mask.
They drew first blood.
Exterior, nightclub, Brooklyn Alley, night. 4 men, Purple Dragons guard the back entrance to a nightclub. CRISTO, Van, Max, and Cesar. They smoke and act like chumps. From the shadows, Casey, hockey mask covering his face, 9-iron in hand.
You boys wouldn't happen to know where I could find the tee box, would you?
The thugs laugh.
Bro, you're on that good shit, huh?
No response. Casey slaps the head of the golf club repeatedly.
I hope you bought it from us.
Crack! Casey smashes Cristo's jaw with his club. Cristo stumbles. The other thugs drop their smokes.
New question. Any of you guys know about the fire at the sporting goods store and how the owner wound up dead?
Van pushes towards Casey, tall and broad. He's an intimidating sight.
That sounds like 2 questions to me. Maybe you should take the trick-or-treat routine to another alleyway before you get yourself hurt.
You're right. Somebody's gonna get hurt. But it ain't gonna be me.
Casey swings. Van catches the club, rips it away from Casey, tosses it in the gutter. Whoosh! Casey ducks under Van's soaring fist. Twack, twack, twack. Casey jabs Van repeatedly, but he may as well be punching air. Unaffected, Van shoves Casey, pulls back, jab. Casey's on the ground, barely able to breathe. Max and Cesar rush in. Max kicks. Casey dodges, but whack! A punch from Cesar lands true. Casey rolls, reaches for his golf bag, pulls out 2 baseball bats, 1 in each hand.
Batter up!
Swing and a hit. Max's legs sweep out. He's on the ground. Whack! Cesar's chest is pigskin. He's down and out. Casey swings and swings and swings. Only Van remains. Casey stands. They square off.
So, Yankees or Mets?
I'm more of a Phillies guy.
I knew I didn't like you.
Fight! They swing. Bats versus fists. Hit, hit, hit. They pause for breath, surveying each other. Van can barely stand, his nose looking like hamburger meat. Blood leaks from the corner of Casey's mask.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Van tries to get up. He can't. Casey rushes him, bat swinging, hit, hit, hit. When his enemy has had enough, Casey retreats.
Now, tell me, who killed my father?
All the stubborn old bastard had to do was pay the fee. That's all Hun wanted, was the money.
Who's Hun? Your leader, El Jefe?
When you see him, you'll know.
Casey points a bat at his back door to the club.
He in there?
Van nods. Casey rebags 1 bat. He kicks Van aside, grabbing the handle to the club door.
If you go in there, you better be ready to kill, because he sure as hell will be.
When you're pushed, killing's as easy as breathing.
Casey swings his bat. Crack! Van is down. Casey opens the club door. Hip-hop music. Cracks his neck. Enters the club. The door clangs shut behind him. Interior nightclub, night. Casey makes his way down the narrow vestibule, leading to the club's main dance hall. The place is empty except for a small group of men sitting at the leather couch that wraps around a large elevated glass table. An attractive young dancer entertains the group. Hun sits at the center, his eyes locked on the girl as she sways her hips to the music.
He was right. I would know. I guess you're Hun.
Hun stands up, eye level with the dancer, despite the platform and heels she was standing on. Without any effort, he pushes the dancer from the table to the couch so he can see who is speaking to him.
And you are?
Hun waves his associates and the dancer away, and they oblige, leaving the room in haste.
The man that's going to kill you.
You. You look like a department store Robin Hood in a hockey mask.
Casey pulls the hockey stick from his bag and twirls it in his hands. Hun walks toward him, removing the jacket from his 3-piece suit and tosses it aside.
What you got there?
This? This is my broomstick.
Swoosh! Casey swings the hockey stick fast and hard. Thud! The stick finds its mark, splitting into 2 across Hun's jaw. Its effect is minimal. Hun smiles and wipes a small smear of blood from his bottom lip.
I hope you brought more boom than that.
Casey discards the broken stick and reaches both hands back to his bag to pull out the bats. Thump! Hun delivers a straight kick to his chest, sending Casey sliding across the bar floor on his back. Hun snatches Casey off the ground, easily lifting him into the air. Hun's powerful hands clasped around Casey's throat. His feet dangle frantically as he struggles for air.
You're struggling to breathe, and and you have this fear that you might die.
Hun tosses the vigilante over the bar top almost as easily as he tossed aside his jacket. Casey crashes into bottles of expensive liquor. Click, 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 click. Casey can hear the sound of Hun's expensive shoes as the big man approaches the bar, unshouldering the golf bag and grips the croquet mallet. He waits. Click, click. Hun's footfalls cease.
But when I'm finished with you, boy, the thought of death will comfort you.
Hun reaches over the bar top and pulls Casey to his feet by his stringy hair. Casey's arms hang limp, his readied weapon hidden behind the bar.
You know what you are?
What's that?
A disease.
Quack! The butt of the croquet mallet is thrust into Hun's throat. The big man gags as he staggers backwards. Casey now stands atop the bar, his mallet raised.
And I'm the cure.
Casey leaps from his perch, swinging the mallet down. Thwog! The leader of the purple dragon is face first on the floor. Casey stands over his opponent, letting out a guttural yell as if to finally allow his emotions to be released. Clank! The mallet falls to the floor as Casey turns to walk away. Quack! The mallet smashes against Casey's surgically repaired knee from behind. The pain instantly shoots throughout his entire body, sending Casey to the floor in a heap. Hun is now on a knee, the mallet clenched in his massive paws, his shoulders drenched in blood. He stands, looming over top the injured vigilante.
You like your movies? Pretending to be your heroes, quoting them. Well, how's this for a quote? Imagine the future, pal, because you're not in it.
Quunk! The mallet meets the club's floor, bursting into splinters as Casey manages to roll out of the way at the last second. Casey notices his broken stick from before, and just as Hun is turning to reach for him, he juts the stick upwards, the splintered tip impaling Hun's midsection, instantly soaking the belly of his shirt with blood. Hun's eyes wide with shock as he struggles for breath on the club's floor. Casey limps toward the exit, stopping to grab his bag before leaving Hun for dead. Fade out. Exterior, Brooklyn streets. Night several weeks later. Casey has a young Purple Dragons member cornered. The gangbanger, Marvin, is on the ground crab-walking backwards as Casey stalks him with bat in hand.
This turf don't belong to Purple Dragons no more. You got that?
Yes, I promise, please.
Casey draws back the bat to swing, but before it can find its mark, it is impeded by something solid. An aluminum bat rings as the vibrations reverberate through Casey's hands and into his arms. A short but powerful and stocky man in a trench coat covers Marvin and absorbs the blow as if it was a light tap. The man, Raphael, turns around, a fedora pulled down low on his brow, resting just atop of a red headband with aisles cut into it. Most of the man's body is covered, but enough is visible to show Raphael isn't a man at all.
All right.
Something else entirely different.
All right. That'll be 2 minutes in the penalty box for being totally confused about what sport you're trying to play.
Oh, I don't have time for this freak. Halloween is still a few months away.
Oh, Halloween jokes from a Dollar Tree Jason Voorhees. Good one.
That kid you're protecting, he's a purple dragon, and I've got some questions to ask him.
Yeah? And how's he gonna answer them if you beat him to death?
Casey tilts his head in his mask as if he's pondering Raphael's question. Then he flips the bat up into the air and catches it by the handle.
I guess my night just got a lot more fun.
Raphael opens the trench coat, the pair of sai tucked in his belt glisten under a street lamp. He smiles.
I guess mine did too.
Both Raphael and Casey launch themselves in attack towards the other. Fade to black.